Welcome, curious viewers, to another intriguing mystery of human geography. Today, we will unravel an enigma that has left many perplexed. Why have the vast majority of Americans, an impressive 80%, chosen to make their home in the eastern region of the United States? Imagine, for a moment, a map of the United States. Visualize the night lights seen from space. What would you see? An intense glow in the east, gradually diminishing as your eyes move westward. But why? What draws so many people to this specific region? Let's dive into this mystery and uncover the hidden forces that have shaped this fascinating population distribution. First, let's go back in time. Imagine the first European settlers arriving on the shores of what we now know as the East Coast. They found fertile lands, navigable rivers, and natural harbors. These early colonies, such as Jamestown and Plymouth, became the foundations of a growing nation. But this is just the beginning of our story. As the population grew, cities expanded. New York, Boston, Philadelphia all flourished in this coastal region. But why didn't people spread evenly across the continent? Here is where our mystery deepens. Think of the Appalachian Mountains, an ancient range stretching over 1,500 miles along the East Coast. For centuries, this natural barrier challenged settlers, confining them to the coastal region. When it was finally overcome, a new world of opportunities opened up. But here's a fascinating curiosity. Even after the westward expansion, the population continued to concentrate in the east. Why? The answer is buried in the Earth's depths. Coal, iron, abundant natural resources were discovered in the Appalachians and surrounding areas. The Industrial Revolution exploded, fueled by these underground treasures. Cities like Pittsburgh became industrial giants overnight. The eastern U.S. transformed into the beating heart of the American economy. But wait, there's more. Let's look at the numbers. Currently, the U.S. has a population of approximately 330 million people. Of this total, about 264 million live in the eastern half of the country. That's more than the entire population of Brazil. Now, let's talk about water. Not just any water, but the Great Lakes. This chain of 5 gigantic lakes contains 21% of the world's surface freshwater. Think about that, 1/5 of the planet's surface freshwater, right there in the heart of Eastern America. Coincidence? Hardly. These bodies of water are not just beautiful to look at. They are true liquid highways, facilitating trade and transportation. Cities like Chicago, Detroit, and Cleveland owe their existence and prosperity to these aquatic giants. But the mystery deepens when we look west. Vast plains, majestic mountains, untouched deserts. Why haven't these lands attracted the same population density? Here's another piece of the puzzle: climate. The eastern U.S., especially the northeast region, experiences 4 distinct seasons: hot summers, colorful autumns, snowy winters, and blooming springs. This annual life cycle created an agricultural diversity that the arid West could not match. Speaking of agriculture, did you know that the American Midwest, which is part of the eastern region in general terms, is known as the Corn Belt? This area produces more than 30% of the world's corn. It's as if nature designed a giant magnet to attract people to this region. But it's not all fertile lands and fresh water. Eastern cities also have their unique charm. New York, with its towering skyscrapers and vibrant culture, attracts millions of people annually. Washington, D.C., the center of political power. Boston, a beacon of education and innovation. Each of these cities has a distinct personality, a story to tell. And here's a head-scratching curiosity. Despite 80% of the population living in the East, this region represents less than half of the total area of the United States. We're talking about an impressive population density. But what does this mean for the future? As climate change becomes an increasing concern, could this population distribution change? Some predictions suggest that eastern coastal regions may face challenges with rising sea levels. Will we see a new exodus to the interior or to the west in the coming decades? And we can't ignore the role of technology. With the rise of remote work, some people are opting to leave the densely populated eastern cities in search of more open spaces. Will this change the population balance in the coming decades? Another factor to consider is immigration. Historically, the main entry ports for immigrants were in the East. Ellis Island in New York processed over 12 million immigrants between 1892 and 1954. This constant infusion of new Americans continued to fuel the growth of eastern cities. But the story doesn't stop there. The eastern U.S. is also a cultural melting pot. From the Cajun cuisine of New Orleans to New York-style pizza, from the country music of Nashville to the hip-hop of the Bronx, the cultural diversity of this region is as rich as its geography. And speaking of geography, let's talk about the beaches. The east coast of the U.S. stretches over 2,000 miles, offering some of the most beautiful and diverse beaches in the world. From the cold waters of Maine to the tropical sands of Florida, there's a beach for every taste. No wonder so many people choose to live near this natural wonder. But it's not all roses. With so many people concentrated in a relatively small area, challenges arise. Traffic congestion, pollution, high cost of living, these are problems many eastern cities face daily. Still, millions of people consider the benefits to outweigh the costs. Now, let's talk about education. The eastern U.S. is home to some of the world's most prestigious universities. Harvard, Yale, MIT, just to name a few. These institutions not only attract students from across the country and the world, but also create ecosystems of innovation and research that generate jobs and opportunities. And how about some history? The eastern U.S. is where the nation was born. From the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia to the Industrial Revolution in New England, every piece of this region tells a part of American history. For many, living in the East is like living in a living history book. But the mystery continues. Why, even with all the technological development and the ease of modern transportation, does this population distribution persist? Why don't we see a greater balance between East and West? Perhaps the answer lies in historical inertia. Once established, population centers tend to be self-sustaining. More people mean more opportunities, which attract even more people. It's a cycle that perpetuates itself. Or maybe it's something deeper, something rooted in the American psyche. The East, with its rich history and proximity to Europe, has always been seen as the cultural and economic heart of the country. The West, on the other hand, retains an aura of frontier, of unexplored space. As we move into the future, this population distribution will continue to shape American politics, economy, and culture. Eastern states, with their large populations, have significant weight in presidential elections. Decisions made in Washington, D.C. often reflect the concerns and priorities of this eastern majority. But what about the West? With its vast lands and natural resources, it continues to play a crucial role in the American identity and economy. From Silicon Valley to Hollywood's entertainment industry, the West has its own magic and allure. So, as we ponder this geographic enigma, we are left with more questions than answers. The U.S. population distribution is the result of complex historical, geographical, economic, and cultural forces. It is a testament to human adaptability and the enduring influence of decisions made centuries ago. As the country faces new challenges from climate change to technological evolution, how will this distribution change? Will the balance shift? Or will the ties that bind so many Americans to the East prove unbreakable? This is the kind of mystery that continues to fascinate geographers, historians, and ordinary citizens. It's a reminder that even in a globalized and interconnected world, geography still matters. The land beneath our feet, the rivers that flow through our cities, the mountains that challenge our progress, all these elements continue to shape our lives and societies in profound and often invisible ways. So, the next time you look at a map of the United States or travel across the country, remember this fascinating enigma. Think of the forces that shape this unique distribution and the stories of the millions of people who chose to make the East their home. And as we reflect on this geographic mystery, we can't help but wonder, what does the future hold for this population distribution? How will the next generations of Americans choose to live and work? Only time will tell. If you've been intrigued by this mystery and want to explore more fascinating enigmas about geography, history, and culture, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have many more intriguing stories to share, more secrets to unveil, and more curiosities to spark your imagination. Click the subscribe button now and join us on this journey of discovery. Until the next video.